What's your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I never realized the Chargers got a bye, that they qualified for a bye, but they did because they're playing Houston. This team right here, number 1 in the National Football League in scoring defense. And by the way, Quentin Johnson, he actually can catch the ball.
He was unreal.
He had 13 catches. Remember, this is the kid that couldn't catch a cold. Like, all of a sudden, now he's catching the ball. They're moving it. They can pound you with the run game. They also realize they have a Hall of Fame quarterback.
A few moments later.
You got to tip your hat to them because that team played their absolute asses off. Look, if you guys were going to play like that, I would have taken you to win the Super Bowl. But I'm seeing the games going up into it, 1-5 against playoff teams. I'm seeing all that, and I'm sorry, Houston.
Oh, we got one!
But if you think I'm not picking you next week either. Oh, boy. Well, maybe I will.
Okay, Rex Ryan, look at your doofus self. The Texans are now going to be definitely using that to roast you moving forward, Rex Ryan. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about CJ Stroud haters being in shambles with their sophomore slump takes. For the people wondering who Wilson Lore is, he is a guest that will be here on today's show to talk about the Texans. He is a diehard fan of their organization as he has been a fan of them for life. Ultimately, though, the Houston Texans are coming off of an impressive playoff victory against the LA Chargers. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Do the Texans have any chance of upsetting the Chiefs in the AFC Divisional round?
I know you talked about the Rex Ryan thing at first. He doubled down, actually. He said that the Texans actually have no chance against the Chiefs this divisional round. And all I can say is that they're going to use that to motivate them again. They have a good chance. You know, looking at it from the outside, the Chiefs are a very good team. They play historically well coming off a bye week. The Texans have a solid chance. If the defense plays how they played against the Chargers, if we get constant pressure up front, I see a world where we can hold Patrick Mahomes, you say, 14 points, 17 points, 21 points, around that range. If CJ Stroud gets comfortable again and hits his checkdowns and finds Nico Collins a couple times, we get good production from Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie. We get 40 or 50 yards from them. I think we have a very solid chance at winning this game.
I think that the Houston Texans would have to play nearly a perfect game in order to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I understand that the Chiefs have not necessarily been playing like a 15-win team. Yes, they're 15-2 on the season, but have you seen how they've been playing for majority of the season? A lot of those 15 wins have been one-score wins. I think this game is going to be pretty close. The Chiefs haven't really been able to prove that they can dominate any great team all year long. I think if you're the Houston Texans, you got to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes. You got to force him to make a couple of mistakes, and obviously you got to win the turnover battle. The Houston Texans defense has been one of the more underrated defenses in the National Football League, especially in recent weeks. They intercepted Justin Herbert 4 times. He only had 3 picks the entire season, so that tells me they have an excellent defense. But ultimately, the Kansas City Chiefs are just too talented compared to the Texans. You got to remember that the Texans are not at full strength right now. They have some of their weapons lost as well, but I think the Texans absolutely have a chance in this game to win it. I also want to show you guys this clip of Pat McAfee talking about the Texans. He shouted out a Texans fan tweeting about the CJ Stroud haters getting owned. I found his takes to be rather interesting. Roll the film.
This is from JTB at JTB1012. Looks like he's a Texans fan. Hashtag I don't want to overreact. But I was wrong. CJ fraud? Nah, dummy. CJ Stroud. He is the next big thing. And this Texans defense swarming. Herbie had 4 interceptions. 4. His worst game of his career. Hey, we coming for the Chiefs. We slaying the Dragon, says JTB. I'd like to have a conversation with him in real life. Sounds like he's a bit electrifying. Sure. We doing this, we doing that. Do we feel like that's accurate, Age? We think the Texans maybe have a chance to go on a run, maybe go slay the Dragon that is the back-to-back Super Bowl champions over there in Arrowhead?
Well, I would imagine if they would find a way to beat the Chiefs in the Chiefs' house, then yeah, that would give them the momentum, the boost, the juice that they need to make a run. But I just don't see them beating the Chiefs here. I think the Chiefs coming off the bye, we had Trav on earlier, like those guys seem to be doubting. They were in full pads last week. They'll be in full pads again this week. Like Andy Reid, I don't think will let those guys relax or feel comfortable ever.
You are correct, sir. Yes!
Well, talk about passionate responses on the Pat McAfee show. I want to know what's your thoughts on that.
It's hard to say that he's having a sophomore slump when he has just as many playoff wins in his tenure as Dak Prescott has. You see people who just constantly shit on him and give him flack for having a bad year, but results don't lie. You get a playoff win against a top 10 quarterback like Justin Herbert, and see what he did, and look what CJ Stroud did. He's a guy who rises under pressure. When it matters, CJ Stroud's going to do it. If that's his sophomore slump and we're still getting playoff wins against good teams like the Chargers, I'll take that. He's our franchise quarterback. He's a guy who doesn't have the character as Deshaun Watson. It's a guy that we want to have in our organization, and a guy that I trust wholeheartedly. I'm as passionate as that fan right now. I believe that CJ Stroud has what it takes to a AFC championship. I'm 100% confident in that.
Well, there seems to be this false notion that CJ Stroud is having a sophomore slump. Look, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that CJ Stroud has been playing phenomenal football all year long, but CJ Stroud is still performing like one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. And all these people are acting like CJ Stroud is playing absolutely horrible. I understand that CJ Stroud is not having an MVP caliber year, but have you seen the quality of play at the quarterback position in today's NFL? CJ Stroud is definitely one of the better quarterbacks in today's NFL. If that is a sophomore slump, I would hate to hear what people would have to say about a quarterback like Anthony Richardson for the Indianapolis Colts, because that guy is way worse than CJ Stroud, and he is in the same draft class as CJ Stroud. The fact of the matter is CJ Stroud is still playing like one of the better quarterbacks, and it's very hard to have major success when your offensive line has been struggling and when you're losing your primary weapons in Tank Dell and Stefon Diggs. I also want to ask you, what are your game picks for the Texans-Chiefs game? What's your score prediction?
I'm going to say 24-21 Texans. It's going to take everybody. We're going to have to force at least 2 interceptions by our defense. We need to have more than 4 sacks. It takes Michi and it takes Xavier Hutchinson each to have maybe 30 to 40 yards to win this game. It's not just Nico Collins. Nico Collins will do Nico Collins. He's a Pro Bowl wide receiver. It's going to take those guys to open up the passing game, get Dalton Schultz open. It's going to take Joe Mixon rushing for at least 80 yards. They were so close to beating them when they played him earlier in the year. That was the game that Tank Dell went out with a freak knee injury. The team was scarred from that going into the second half, but I really do think that they're playing with vengeance. Everybody in the media is picking the Chiefs. Rex Ryan picked them again, so we're going to be smoking on that Rex Ryan pack next week.
I think you're being a little biased there, but I can't deny that the Houston Texans definitely have a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs for sure. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game because they're coming off the first round bye. Andy Reid doesn't really lose off of a bye week, and the Kansas City Chiefs are just flat out the better team when you compare them to the Houston Texans. I do think it is going to be a one-score game, but at the end of the day, the better team is going to come out of this game victorious. I think the final score of this game is going to be something along the lines of 24-16 Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is going to do Patrick Mahomes things. Watch out for DeAndre Hopkins potentially scoring a touchdown for the Chiefs. I think DeAndre Hopkins is more than motivated to finally get to his first AFC Championship game as a player. The Chiefs are just going to come out as the better team. I think CJ Stroud is going to certainly make things interesting. Ultimately, though, the Texans just don't have what it takes to beat the Chiefs in a playoff game. All right, thanks for being on the show, Wilson. Make sure to follow Wilson on Twitter and Instagram. He has both of those social media accounts. His Instagram handle is @WilsonLore. His Twitter account is also @WilsonLore as well. Again, thanks for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Dustin.
Oh, yeah. No problem, man. All right. See ya, bro.
All right, brother.
That was Wilson Lore that you guys just heard. Obviously, he's a Texans fan, so he's going to go ahead and pick the Texans to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Divisional round. His score prediction is 24-21 Texans. Meanwhile, I have the Chiefs beating the Texans in the AFC Divisional round. The final score of that game is going to be 24-16 Chiefs. It should be a good game, that's for sure. So that is why the Texans do not have a chance of upsetting the Chiefs in the AFC Divisional round, as the Chiefs will beat the Texans by the score of 24-16. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.